In the world of motorsports, not all race cars that you see resemble its street version, the kind that you would buy off the showroom floor at a dealership. Take, for example, sports prototype racing. They look like rocket ships, and some look like fighter jets, and some look like they came from another planet. But they were built for one purpose only, and that's to go racing. And it's here on Motor Lens that we find sports prototype racing to be a very interesting topic, and perhaps one of the most sophisticated and obscure cars to ever be built and to have ever hit the tarmac on all four wheels, and for some, built on three wheels. It wasn't until the dawn of the 1960s when prototypes became the superior class of sports car endurance racing, as a result of the transition away from homologated sports cars. Through the decades, prototype racing has competed under various championships and under different prototype classes, some with their own rules and others racing the same car under one category within a set of rule parameters. For many in the endurance racing world, the sport has seen many changes. Sports car class championships being discontinued, some categories merging with others to bulk up the grid. So what are these cars exactly? What do they mean for the 21st century of auto racing? What is their relevance to the auto industry that in some ways applies to public road cars? The Grand Touring Prototype Class. A merger of two prototype classes, the Le Mans Daytona H and the Le Mans Hypercar class. The GTP class was made for showing the latest advanced racetrack technology, according to the 2024 IMSA Rules and Regulations Guide. The performance specs in the regulations state the GTP cars can average 700 horsepower, with a top speed of 202 miles per hour, weighing at 2,266 pounds. Regulations for the GTP class state the dimensions of the cars measure at a maximum length of 200 inches and only 79 inches wide. The regulations also call for all GTP cars to build a hybrid powertrain that takes, quote, kinetic energy gained in braking and store it in batteries for later use when needed. The GTP class comprises 5 manufacturers, 4 of which are full-time competitors. Among the GTP cars is the Lamborghini SC63, their first sports prototype since the Countach QVX Group C back in 1986. However, at that time, Lamborghini gave a British team by the name of Spice Engineering a V12 engine from the Countach in designing the Countach QVX. Presently, the SC63 historically marks the first factory-built and supported sports prototype, with plans to compete not just in IMSA's GTP class, but in the Hyper class in the FIA World Endurance Championship. At the 2024 Sebring 12 Hours Grand Prix of Endurance, the SC63 qualified 14th overall out of 58 cars on its debut on American soil, and 8th in the GTP field. The team went on to finish 7th overall, and 7th in GTP on the lead lap. For a one-car GTP team, it perhaps leaves the imagination for many Lamborghini fans full of hope in a step toward higher performance. Up close and personal, the SC63 puts it all on the table in both style and muscle. Measured at 200.8 inches long and only 78.7 inches wide, the SC63 weighs 2,271 pounds, which makes for a pretty heavy car with an aggressive front end, built with LED headlighting, with a design that looks T-shaped. According to Lamborghini's official website about the SC63, the headlights are regarded as a Y-shaped design, forming the lining and shape of the lights to enhance the driver's field of vision at night. The engine housing rests a 231.9 cubic inch V8, fed with a direct fuel injection system, and it's twin turbocharged too. Power directed to the rear wheels with a chassis supplied by Ligier Automotive. The SC63 is a newcomer in prototype racing, while contesting the car in other sports car leagues across the globe. It would be hard to imagine for many Lamborghini fans not to think of how far in the development wars they will take with the SC63. But they're not alone. Along comes the BMW M Hybrid V8. It's only in its second season in the IMSA GTP class, alongside Cadillac, Porsche, and Acura, a far cry from its predecessor, the V12 LMR. Under the flagship of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, the M Hybrid has the front and rear axles each possessing a double wishbone axle with pushrod and fully adjustable shock absorbers. Bearing with it, a hydraulic dual circuit braking system. The team has 2 GTP cars for the current IMSA season. Last year, the number 25 M Hybrid scored BMW's first GTP class win at the Glen 6 Hours Sports Car Grand Prix of Endurance. Now 2024, the duo picks up where they left off within the top 10 of the GTP Drivers' Championship. In the manufacturers race, they've got the likes of Acura ahead of them. The Acura ARX06. The Acura ARX06 muscles a hybrid power unit with 146.5 cubic inch V6. In the attempt to show off to the GTP cars in the courtyard the best of both worlds, power and fuel economy. According to Car and Driver, reported by Derek Powell, the contributing editor, It averages 630 to 670 horsepower. Seeing the car in action at Sebring, the ARX 06 appeared close to the likes of Cadillac and GTP. Take car number 40 of the Wayne Taylor Racing with Andretti entry. Piloted by Louis Delatraz behind the wheel. When it came time to time trials, the Acura prototype 3rd overall and 3rd in class. The Porsche 963, a sophomore of the GTP class, and many regard it as sleeping giants. After a big win at this year's Daytona 24 Hours race, representing Roger Penske, the 963 is riding on factory support and packing some extra goodies in the speed department. The 963 carries a single specification hybrid system MGU, meaning motor generator unit, containing lithium Lonin ESS energy storage system. Powered by a water-cooled Porsche V8, twin turbocharged with 4.6 liters to its name, Porsche built the engine based on the 918 Spyder hybrid sports car, purpose-built to run on renewable fuels in their effort to reduce CO2 emissions. During time trials, Car 7 held on to 5th with a 1 minute 49.179 second run, with Car 24 of the BMW M Hybrid besting the Porsche with 1 minute 48.829 seconds. Car number 6 of the Team Penske Porsche was a different story. The 6 car had its 2 fastest laps deleted as a penalty for causing a red flag during its qualifying session. During the race, its car setup and strategy was able to muster 9th place at the finish, but its sister car, number 7, took the podium in 3rd place overall and in GTP. In terms of performance, as compared to last year, Roger Penske's alliance with Porsche was a step up. Moving forward, it is a matter of how far they will continue developing the 963 as the IMSA season progresses. The Cadillac V-Series R packs a 335.6 cubic inch DOHC V8 hybrid with up to 50 kilowatts of deployment and 172 kilowatts of regeneration. According to the official website of Cadillac, they estimated the engine to average up to 670 horsepower. The V-Series Point R poses a 1.35 kilowatts per hour high voltage battery pack, gifted with an electronic rear brake system. Cadillac was already involved in sports car prototype racing in IMSA, competing under the DPI class since 2017. In other words, the Daytona Prototype International class. Going further back in time, Cadillac had the North Star LMP car from the American Le Mans series. After much testing on track, like its fellow GTP rivals, the V-Series Point R was ready to hit the ground running in the new prototype era. With 2024 already in full swing, the V-Series Point R has grown to be a force to be reckoned with. Though favored to win, given Cadillac's dominant track record at Sebring, winning 5 of the last 7 at the historic Florida track, all stats aside, Fate had other plans for the number 31 Caddy, dominating the majority of the Sebring 12-hour until contact with a Ferrari, which happened to be at the Fangio chicane. Durrani was behind the wheel at the time. He did live through it. The car, not so much. But that hadn't stopped Chip Ganassi's Cadillac V-Series Point R from being at the front. But not without a fight from the number 40 Acura, co-driven by Switzerland's Louis Delatraz and the Americans of Colton Herta and Jordan Taylor. At Motorlands, it's all about apples and oranges determining which GTP car is the bigger standout from the rest. They all look pretty cool. Arguably all cyberpunk futuristic. If Warner Brothers and DC happens to be watching, one of these could be the next Batmobile. For these cars, they are far from street legal. But it's the technology inside the GTP cars that show a display of what each constructors aim to offer consumers in the road cars they build. It's like they took a page from the 1980s era of sports prototypes, putting in their aggressive front ends that far exceed elegance and poker face expressions. Some with snarling looks, declaring its stock on its rivals with a point to prove. Some with seemingly throwback-inspired good looks, each with race wins to show. And who knows how much more performance will be added along the way. While others, regarded as the benchmarks, or the favorites, seem to show a style with a message. Anything the opposition are doing now, we can do better. Styling that reaffirms commitment to keeping the pendulum swinging in their favor. And the goal still remains in auto racing: win on race day, sell the next day. Also said, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. But not all races are held on a Sunday.